Why hello there and welcome back to part 3 of our blended character tutorial series. First up, we're going to start making the outfit for the character. We're going to start with a plane, add a mirror modifier, with clipping, some subdivisions, shrink wrap, and finally some solidify. We're going to enable face snap. You can press Shift Tab or just click on the magnet at the very top. Just going to extrude some faces here. And this is going to be the panty for our character. This is your classic combo of using shrink wrap plus the face snap feature to easily create clothing that's skin tight. You can also use this combo to retopologize meshes and stuff. So here I changed the shrink wrap method to be project, and that basically allows the mesh to kind of float a little bit from the target mesh. It's not going to be, super skin tight. So now basically I'm doing the same thing here. This is going to be the bra. Once again, just using the same modifiers, mirror, subdivision, shrink wrap, solidify. I changed the offset to be +1 so that the solidify allows us to see the actual mesh. Once again, here I'm just extruding by pressing Ctrl right click, and then basically Blender will automatically extrude where my mouse is pointing. There I just selected the 3 vertices, pressed M to merge them together. There I just selected that edge and pressed Shift E to crease it. And it kind of gained that like purplish color. Selected those two edges, pressed F to fill them into a face. If you're wondering what I just did there, I just selected those vertices at the bottom, pressed S, Z0, and just basically scaled them along the Z so that they're, straight. So here I was thinking of just using grid fill. The way you do grid fill is you just press Ctrl F and then you just select grid fill and it kind of fills it in. I didn't like how this looked, so I just manually filled it in. I was just experimenting to see if it's going to look better. I didn't like it, so I just decided, you know what, I'll do it manually. Here all I'm doing is I just selected that edge at the bottom and I'm pressing F and it automatically fills in those faces. And if you're wondering if that's an add-on or not, no, that's no add-on. That just comes in with Blender. You just, by default, just select an edge and you start filling it in. Once again, just pressing Shift E to crease these edges. Here I decided to add like a loop cut right there. You can just press Ctrl R to add a loop cut, but in the end I decided to just get rid of it because it wasn't needed. You can repeat that multiple times. So here I'm using a brush that's called Slide Relax. And basically what it tries to do is it tries to make all quads equal in its area of influence. That's the simple explanation of what it does. It's very useful. So here I didn't like the way the topology worked, so I was trying to fix it. Here I'm using the knife tool. Default hotkey is K. And basically allows you to just cut through the mesh to add edges. So if you're wondering, how did I just get rid of that edge? Well, I pressed Control X, and that basically dissolves the edge. So basically, default, if you just press X, that's going to delete it. But if you press Control X, that's going to dissolve it. So here I was using Slide Relax a little bit more, but just keep in mind that this is a powerful tool and it can help you a lot. It can also mess up your mesh, as you can see here. So I kind of had to, after using it, had to fix a couple of things. So here I just switched to project for the bra, which, as I explained, is kind of like it doesn't stick to the mesh, fully as a default option. So in certain cases, it's quite useful. You can actually see it right here for these straps. You will see them actually floating quite a bit from the body. And the default option doesn't really allow you to do that. So using project is really nice. So here I'm going to use a skin modifier to turn these vertices that are, infinitely thin into an actual, 3D mesh. Here I'm going to press Ctrl A, or you can also use these sliders right here that I'm showing. But the default hotkey is Ctrl A, and then you just use your mouse to scale it down. And if you want to shade it smooth, there is an actual checkbox that you have to press to shade it smooth. Let's just give it a little bit of subdivision, and you're good to go. Here I was experimenting to see if bevel would look better, but after fiddling around with it, I think I went back to just a regular subdivision. So now we're going to start work on the actual skirt. We're going to grab like a circle, move it into position, extrude a little bit, and then shrink wrap it to the body. The normals were inverted, so I just double checked. I pressed Alt N and I just flipped them so they're properly facing. Then I applied the shrink wrap modifier, started sculpting it a little bit so it looked better. My goal right here is to just get to the top part of the skirt to kind of follow the shape of the waist. So here I'm only working on the left side of the skirt, deleting the right side, and then adding a mirror. So as you can see here, I'm just extruding it a little bit, scaling it up. Here I'm going to go select and then deselect, checker to deselect. I'm going to fiddle around here with the options a little bit. Scale these guys up a little bit. And here I was just trying to experiment with the bevel, but I ended up just undoing it. So now we're just going to rotate it. Now here I rotated it just a little bit. I definitely should have rotated it a little bit more, but I end up fixing it later down the line. So if you press Alt-E while you have a bunch of faces selected, you will get that window that you saw there for just a second. And then you will see extrude along normals. That's basically what I did. And just to remind you guys, whenever you see these like purple edges, that's basically just me pressing Shift-E on them to crease them. So here I went into edit mode and then I just selected these vertices and I just pressed H to hide them. And then when you go into sculpt mode, they will be hidden and you will not be able to sculpt them. So it's basically like masking them off, but just using edit mode. So I've enabled symmetry at the very top. You will see that the X is kind of has a blue background, so it's enabled along the X-axis. So here I noticed this issue at the bottom. I'm like, what's going on here? Well, the problem was very simple. I just had the solidify modifier above the subdivision. Here I'm just trying to figure it out. What's going on? Why is this happening? But then, I figure it out. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then you can press Alt-H to bring back, what's been hidden. I do believe now we're going to start working on the actual shirt. So the way I do, shirts, jackets, hoodies, things that are not like skin tight, but they're in certain parts they're skin tight, but in certain other parts they're not skin tight, is I usually just do this like very simple box that goes around the character. Get everything into position. Then I shrink wrap it while it's still, a simple box. And then I subdivide it afterwards. You'll see it. So when it comes to sleeves, I usually like to have 8 edges for the cylinder of the sleeve. I find that to be a good number when it comes to, making sleeves. So right there, I just pressed Ctrl R to add a couple of loop cuts, and then you can use the scroll wheel on your mouse to choose how many loop cuts you want. So here I didn't like some topology that was forming, so I decided to just merge some edges and try to clean it up so it looks better. I actually ended up spending way too much time on this little thing. Once again, using that slide relax brush to kind of make all the quads kind of even. At this point, I just try to kind of shrink wrap it on the body without subdividing it. So it's kind of closer to the body. Then I decide to apply it, fix any issues that happened. And then we can finally subdivide it. So here I noticed that there was something going on, and then I quickly realized that it was just the norm was being inverted in this specific part of the mesh. So in just here in a moment you will see me selecting the whole mesh and then recalculating the normals. because the shirt is kind of tucked in into the skirt, and obviously her boobas are huge, there's a lot of pressure. The shirt is very tight, so it's not skin tight. So earlier I got rid of the color because I was using the shrink wrap modifier. But now that that's done, we can go back and make it again. So it was at this point that I wanted to change the shirt a little bit, and obviously the strap for the bra was just kind of poking out. So I decided to just push it in, add a couple of loop cuts, and then just snap it to the body. So it's time to apply the subdivision. We can finally start getting some detail here. Now we don't want to we don't want to subdivide the mesh too much. We still want to keep it low poly. We'll add all the detail with a multi-resolution modifier at the end. So once again here, I'm just fixing one side of the shirt, and then I will add a mirror modifier in just a couple of moments. Delete left side, add a mirror modifier, enable clipping. So here I'm just preparing the mesh for the buttons that we're going to add in a bit. So I have disabled clipping in the mirror modifier, and now I'm just pulling the places where the buttons are going to be kind of into each other, and then later down the line we're going to break symmetry. You know, the mesh is not going to be symmetrical anymore, to kind of fix up those places so they, you know, look proper. Because, you know, one part of the shirt is going to be, you know, where the button is, and the other part is going to be, you know, where the hole is. So right now I'm just kind of preparing that area. The reason why I'm doing it right now is because while you have things mirrored, it's a lot less work than, you know, just, you know, doing one side and fixing the other. So yeah, I think I applied the mirror there. Yep, I have. So I'm in sculpt mode. I have masked off one portion of the shirt, and you can just press Ctrl I to invert it. So one part of the shirt is going to go on top and the other part is going to go below. At this point, I'm just kind of getting a rough estimate of where things are going to go. Once I use the multi-resolution modifier, that's going to be the time where I decide, how it's going to end up looking properly. Usually when you have characters with big booba and like tight shirts, one part of the shirt is kind of like, super tight. For example, you can see there, the one that's currently, I guess the one that I'm currently working on right there is kind of tight. And then the opposite side is kind of loose, Creates that kind of effect. And just to remind you guys, what I'm doing right here to mask the shirt is I'm pressing Shift A and then just dragging my mouse. And the mask will basically follow your mouse. And then you can just press Ctrl I to invert it. And then Alt M to clear the mask. So now we're going to make the buttons. We're going to start with a plane. Subdivide it a little bit. Add a couple loop cuts here and there. Select these faces. Press I to inset. Delete those faces. And then grab these vertices. Right click and then Loop Tools, Circle. Add a solidify. And there you go, you have a button. Then you can just select everything, Shift D to duplicate, and move it into the next position. So now we're going to work on the bow tie. Start with a cube. Delete the top and the bottom faces. Create kind of this like hourglass shape and then subdivide it. Then you can add another solidify and then another subdivision. And might as well add a mirror there, so you only have to work on one side. So here I'm just adding another cube, and this is going to be basically like a knot for the bow tie. And here I'm just going to copy the bow tie here to make the ends. Change them up a little bit. you have your nice bow tie. So there I just duplicated a face from the knot, and this is going to be the strap that's going to go around the neck. So now we're going to be working on the actual shoes themselves. I'm basically going to do a double mirror. And what that means is that we just grab an empty here, we kind of put it in the middle here of the foot. We add a mirror modifier to it. We select the empty as the object, and then we add another mirror, which mirrors it to the other foot. So the basic premise of this workflow is that you only have to work on one side of the shoe. You get that side, to be perfect. And then once you're happy with it, then you apply the first mirror, and then you can work on the second side to kind of finalize it. So as you can see here, her toes are kind of sticking out. So the way you can fix that is using the mask modifier. You select an area that you want to mask off and hide. So for example, right here, you give it a vertex group, then you use that group in the modifier, you invert it, and boom, it's gone. Now obviously it's still there, it's just not going to be visible. So here I just selected a part of the mesh, duplicate it and then separate it, and these are going to be the socks. So I think at this point we start giving out some materials to these meshes. But before doing that, I decided to just add a small strap here, as you can see here. So as you can see here, I've selected the weight painting bones layer. So that's the one that's currently selected in the blue where it says layers. You want to use that layer when you're weight painting. And then I parented the whole outfit to the rig, just double checking to see if there's any issues with the weights. To be honest, I could have probably spent a little bit of time fixing these dudes, but it's fine, just, you know, smoothing them a little bit here and there was good enough. Here I was just reparenting the eyes that I imported in the last episode. So now when you move the body, the eyes also get moved. And then I just gave her like a really quick pose, just to, you know, check to see if everything looks good. And then, you know, I started assigning some materials. Right now I'm giving the bra and the panties just like this black material, but later in the episode we're going to be changing that to a texture, and you'll see that in a bit. This is just like a temporary material. Same thing here for the shirt. Later down the line, we're going to add like an opacity texture. In certain areas, the shirt is going to be transparent. Now we're going to work on the bow tie. We're going to give it a nice pattern texture. We're going to grab a wave node. You can kind of see that it gives us this like black and white pattern. Add a texture coordinate to it with the object. And here I was trying to find where the diagonal thing is, and you can see right there in the drop down menu. It's going to be diagonal. There you go. Grab a color ramp, change the linear to be constant, and change the white to be at 0.5 so that black and white are evenly distributed. And you can change your colors, plug that into the main color, and you kind of get this effect. Buttons are going to be very simple to make. Add a little bit of glossiness, change it to be a little bit metallic, and they're going to kind of have this like look where they kind of look metallic but also kind of plasticky at the same time. So because we're going to be using textures, everything needs to be UV unwrapped. So for the shirt, we're going to select some UV seams. Right there, I pressed Ctrl-Shift-M to mirror the selection on the other side as well. And then I right-clicked and then I made it a seam. Same thing here for this guy. Then UV unwrap. Now here I noticed that it didn't really properly mirror the selection, so I just had to manually do it. Same thing here for the other side. But then as you can see here now, it works. So you can press L to select a UV island. Well, all I'm doing is I'm just clicking on one of the faces and then pressing L, and it just selects that UV island, and then you can press G to move it around. So we're going to get rid of this like temporary transparency that we've set up, and then we're going to grab an image texture. You can click on new to create a new texture, name it whatever you want, change the resolution. I think I went for 2K on this image. The default color is going to be white. And you just plug it in the alpha node. Now when it comes to texture painting, I'm gonna be honest, I'm terrible. So I spent literally like an hour just trying to, texture paint this properly. And I'm gonna save you the trouble of just, watching me struggle. I'm gonna be honest, just, struggle with texture painting. I still need to learn more about it when it comes to that. But yeah, so I just, used to, to give you the short story. White is going to be, opaque, and then, gray and black is going to be transparent. So I just change it to be kind of like this grayish color. and you just click on the mesh and it starts painting. And as you can see here, it's kind of transparent there. And then you can just go in here, blur it out a little bit, use the smudge tool. I did a lot of smudging. And yeah, I spent like an hour just trying to make it look decent. But yeah, in the end, the texture map just kind of looked like this, like grayish mist. But yeah, I'm gonna save it to trouble, and just we're gonna move on to the pants now. So right now I'm just moving these dudes here to kind of create a nice pattern. This is going to be the border for the panty. So there I just merged those three vertices to kind of create that nice edge loop. That's going to be also the border. So we're going to have one border at the top, one to the side, and one at the front. And there I'm just also merging these dudes right here as well. So here I'm just going to create a new material. And then I went to Google and I just typed in lace textures, seamless lace textures. Grabbed a couple. And I'm just going to grab an image texture here and use it as an alpha map. And of course, I'm going to use my node group right here as well for the color. Also, don't forget to UV unwrap your models as well. So the reason why I'm using the mapping node right here alongside with the texture coordinates is that you can scale the actual image itself to get different results. You will see that in just a couple of moments. So there I'm just scaling it to 100. But then I realized, oh wait, this is not the correct image, so I'm just going to change it here in just a second. There we go. So at this point, Blender and OBS were pretty much draining my computer, so the recording is going to be kind of stuttery. Sorry about that. But yeah, as soon as I started plugging in image textures in Blender, everything starts lagging, so sorry. So I was talking about those borders earlier. Now we're gonna create a new material that's just going to be black. And we're gonna assign it to these edge loops. And now we're gonna work on the actual bra itself. So once again, merging those vertices. We're gonna do a similar thing we did with the panties here. We're gonna have an image texture in the middle, and then some borders. So here I'm grabbing the correct loops and then assigning them to the outline material. So here I'm enabling mesh boundary auto mask. Basically that's just, as you know, it's going to automatically mask the boundary of the mesh, so you cannot, sculpt it. So here I'm using the grab brush and just moving things around. And you will notice that the actual edge itself is just not being affected. Once again, don't forget to UV and wrap everything. I think at this point I disabled the, yeah, there you go, mesh boundary auto mask, because I don't need it anymore. Adding another loop right here. And this loop right here is going to be another border. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. So here I'm creating another material, and this one is going to have a different image texture. You can kind of see it right there. Sorry for the PowerPoint presentation, but yeah, at this point Blender was really struggling with multiple textures. It's not Blender, it's just my computer. So here I like that there's a combination of textures, but I just wanted to invert them. And then after some fiddling around with the numbers and a couple of other textures, I ended up with that result that you saw. So here at this point, I want to add a little bit of detail to the panty and to the bra. So I just duplicated those vertices at the edge, and then I extruded them into a face. And then I grabbed that face and pressed Alt-E, and then extruded along normals to create this. And then I deleted those vertices that I didn't need. And now I have this like nice 2D like plane going all around the panty border. And then use the same technique right here. Obviously, this is going to have its own texture. Make sure to UV unwrap it. Add some UV seams. And here I'm basically pressing SY0 and then SX0 to create like a perfect, 90 degrees rectangle. And then you can just select that rectangle and then press A to select everything, right click, follow active quad. And that's going to just straighten it out like this. Now there's plenty of add-ons that do this automatically for you, but I just do it manually. So here I just chose another texture for it that I prepared. Once again, just Googled these textures. I just typed in lace texture, and I just got a bunch of results, and I just grabbed a couple of them. It doesn't have to be a PNG, you can also use JPEGs. The only thing that you care about is if it's just like a black and white image texture. It doesn't have to have, transparency. So here, I only care about this bottom part of the texture where you have these little mountains, I guess. The rest of the texture I don't really care about. So here's the result. And we're going to do a similar thing right here for the bra. We're going to select the vertices at the edge, duplicate them, separate them, grab them all, extrude. UV unwrap, and then same dealio. SY0, SX0. Select the dude, follow active quads, and then I grabbed another texture, position the UVs, on top of it. Make sure to, in the settings right there on the right, you will see that it says blend mode. You want them both to be alpha hashed. Instead of opaque. And there you go. And once again, I feel like a broken record. Same trick that we did last time. Select the vertices at the edge, extrude them, scale them down, select the faces, press Alt-E, extrude along normals, then delete the vertices that are facing towards the body. And then you have like this 2D mesh. So here I'm pressing G twice. So you just press G and then G again. And this will do like an edge slide. Once again, same story. SY0, SX0. Follow active quad. Grab the texture. So here around, once again, I have a nice looking texture here that I grabbed. Move the UVs where they're supposed to be. You can kind of see that the image is a little bit stretched like that, but you can just select the whole UV island, and then you can press SY to scale along the Y, and then the texture will look nice. So at this point, we're going to start setting up the scene, grabbing the camera and the lights, changing the resolution of the camera. At this point, I was wondering what kind of pose I'm going to go for. And then I realized, wait, I need to make a thumbnail for this video. So it would be pretty cool if I actually just did the thumbnail right here immediately. Change some settings here for the focal length. Here I changed the contrast to be very high contrast, but later on I decided to revert back to just high contrast because it didn't really look good. Here I'm just changing some render settings. And then in the shading tab I selected the world, duplicated the background node, mix shader, and then also a light path for the factor. Basically what I just did there, I separated the actual background from the lighting. So as you can see here, the background is like this pure white color, yet my character is still in dark. And that's a very good way of separating the background from the actual lighting. So here I just added a gradient for the background. This was just my usual setup that I always do, but later on I changed it to be a little bit different. So this is the actual color that's going to illuminate the character. So as you can see here, it's kind of this reddish color. I think I decided to change it to 0.3 on the saturation, yeah. So now I'm going to add the actual lights. So I go for a two-point light setup, which is one at the front, one at the back. And then the third one is actually the red light from the world that we just set up. So technically it has 3 lights. Make sure to enable contact shadows. That will give you some nice crisp shadows. This is going to be an area light with over 9,000. So here I'm just moving the camera. And we have our PowerPoint presentation, lovely. So this is going to end up being the whiteboard that's going to be behind the character. Make sure to, in the shadow mode, select none so that it doesn't cast any shadows, because we don't want it to ruin our lighting. And I just kind of gave it this nice greenish color. So this cube is going to represent the table and the chair. I just, placed it here as like a temporary thing so I can kind of visualize how it's going to be. And then I just posed the character a little bit, added the text there on the left. As you can see here, the skirt at the bottom is it's screwed up. The weight painting on it is really bad, but I decided not to fix it because it was not going to be in the final render. And when it comes to fixing things, if they're not going to be in the final render, I don't bother with them. But yeah, you might have also seen there was a table and a chair there. And if you're wondering why didn't you show us, modeling that? Well, I didn't. I just grabbed it off the internet. I just searched up on Sketchfab for a chair and table, and I found that. And yeah, I just plonked it down there, and yeah, Bob's your uncle. Usually I try to model everything for my characters, but this time around I decided to just kind of be lazy and grab it. So here I just enabled multi-resolution modifier for the shirt, subdivided a couple of times, And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get rid of that and then subdivide it 3 times because I want more detail. And here I'm just using the crease brush, masking off the left side. And we're going to start with the wrinkles. If you're wondering why I'm not fixing that clipping there on the booba, the mesh is clearly clipping through, right? Well, I have the solidify modifier there, and you cannot really see the solidify modifier when you also have the multi-resolution modifier enabled and then you're in sculpt mode. So the only way to see the actual final result is to go into object mode, and then you'll be able to see that it's actually not clipping. When it comes to wrinkles like this, the only advice I can give you is just press and hold Control to invert the crease brush to create a crease, and then immediately release Control, move your mouse a little bit to the right, and then add another crease in the opposite direction, right next to the original one. And then everything else is just experience and muscle memory. Just, keep trying it over and over, and you'll get there. And also references, lots of references. So here, when I went back into object mode, I noticed that I accidentally buried the button. So here I'm just moving it back. So besides wrinkles, I also decided to add a little bit of just general t-shirt detail here. So besides using the crease brush, you can also use the blobber brush. I highly recommend it to kind of create these big, wrinkles. So here's our current progress. Just gonna add a little bit of detail here and there. So now we're going to start working on the detail for the actual body itself. So you have to apply the mirror modifier. And then you get a multi-resolution modifier. I decided to just do it in one subdivision. And then I started adding some detail here and there. Right here, what I'm doing with the elbow is probably the easiest thing that a beginner can do to improve their models by quite a lot. Because a lot of models that I see from beginners, including myself, because I am also a beginner, and even I sometimes make this mistake, is that the model's arms, the elbows specifically, kind of look like noodle arms, right? And you definitely want that sharp elbow right here. So add these creases, make the elbow a little bit pronounced, and it's going to make your arm look much better, because you definitely don't want those noodle arms. So yeah, we're almost done with the video. You know, I'm just tweaking things here and there, fixing the little things. But yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing what I make, seeing my artwork, feel free to join my Discord server. There's going to be a link in the description. Also there you'll find a link to my Twitch stream. If you want to see me, you know, make stuff, you can also ask me questions there. So yeah, that's pretty much it really. I'm going to be signing off right here. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.